Okay, so picture this. Your orchid was absolutely stunning. For months, it was the star of your living room. But now, the last beautiful flower has fluttered to the ground, and you're left staring at this long, bare, green stalk. This is that moment, isn't it? The one every single orchid owner has to face.
You're standing there, maybe you've even got the pruning shears in your hand, and you're asking that one big question. Okay, now what? Do I chop it? If I do, where? Or should I just, leave it be? It seems like it should be a simple yes or no, but trust me, it's anything but.
And right there, that's what we call the Great Orchid Spike Dilemma. And this question actually divides even the pros, the people who have been growing these things for years. Because the answer isn't just about making it look tidy. What you do next is a direct intervention in your plant's energy savings account. It literally decides the future of the entire plant.
All right, so before we even think about making a cut, we need to understand the hardware we're dealing with. Let's get into it. That spike is so much more than just a stick holding up flowers. It's actually a roadmap, a blueprint full of future possibilities.
Okay, look closely at the spike. You see those little papery, triangular flaps along the stem? Those mark the spots we call nodes. And hidden right underneath each one of those is a dormant bud, sometimes called an eye. You should think of each one as a tiny little packet of pure potential, just waiting for the right signal to burst into a new branch of flowers or maybe even a whole new baby plant.
So you might be wondering, well, why don't all those little buds just sprout out at once? And the answer is a really cool biological process called apical dominance. Basically, the very tip of that flower spike is like a little hormone factory, and it produces these things called auxins. These act like a big stop sign, telling all the buds lower down on the stem, nope, not your turn, stay dormant. It's just the plant's way of focusing all its energy on the main event at the top.
But here's the really cool part. We can totally hack that system. It all works like a hormonal seesaw. See, when we snip off the tip of the spike, we've just removed the factory that makes those stop sign hormones. That allows a whole other set of hormones called cytokinins to rush in and basically sound the alarm, sending a wake-up call to the highest node that's left. It's how we can actually take the wheel and steer the plant toward what we want it to do next. So now that we know the science behind it, we're faced with 3 very different paths we can take. And each one has a totally different goal and, of course, a totally different result for your orchid. So let's break them all down.
All right, here's the quick and dirty breakdown. Path 1, cutting it all the way down, is all about investing in long-term health. Path 2, cutting to one of those nodes, that's the fast track to more flowers. And Path 3, just leaving it alone, is, well, it's the naturalist way. It all boils down to one simple question. Are you playing the short game for a quick reward, or are you in this for the long haul?
Let's start with path number 1, cut to the base. A lot of professional growers, this is their go-to method. By cutting that spike off about an inch from where it grows out of the leaves, you're sending a crystal clear message to the plant. All right, the show is over for now. Time to focus on building your engine. All of its energy gets redirected into growing bigger, stronger leaves and a more powerful root system. And that means next year's flower display is going to be way more spectacular.
But maybe you're feeling a little impatient. You want an encore, and you want it now. Well, that brings us to path number 2. This is where we use that hormonal seesaw trick to our advantage and try to force a second round of blooms from that same exact spike. But, and listen, this is a huge but, this takes a ton of energy. Your plant has to be in absolute peak condition to even attempt this.
So here's how you do it. You look at the spike starting from the bottom where it meets the leaves. Count up to the second or third healthy-looking node from the base. Now, why there? Simple. The lower nodes are on a thicker part of the stem, which means they've got more stored energy, more juice. Then you make a nice, clean cut about a half an inch above that node. That's what gives you the best chance for a really strong second bloom.
And finally, there's path number 3. Do absolutely nothing. Just let nature take its course. If you leave the spike alone, the plant will call the shots. If it stays green, hey, it might just decide to rebloom all on its own. But if it starts to turn yellow and then brown, something really smart is happening. The plant is actually pulling all the useful nutrients out of the stalk and reabsorbing them. It's recycling. Once it's totally dry and crispy, like a piece of straw, you know the plant's done with it, and then you can go ahead and snip it off.
Now, just when you think you've got it all figured out, hold on. There is a massive catch. This whole strategy of cutting to a node to get more flowers, it really only works on one specific, very common type of orchid. Knowing what kind of plant you actually have is absolutely non-negotiable here.
So that orchid you probably got at the grocery store or garden center, the Phalaenopsis or moth orchid, that is the star of this reblooming show. It's famous for it. But if you have something different, like an Oncidium or a Cattleya, do not even try this. Seriously, their spikes bloom once and that's it. They're done. For those types, you always cut the spike down to the base as soon as the flowers fade. That's what tells them to start growing a brand new one. And hey, for all you Phalaenopsis owners out there, here's one more little pro tip. After you make that cut to a node, you can give the plant a little nudge. A drop in the nighttime temperature down into this range, around 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, that's the environmental trigger. It's like a secret code that tells that dormant bud, hey, it's time to make flowers, not a new baby plantlet.
So, we've gone over the what, the how, and the when, but honestly, the most important question you should be asking has nothing to do with the spike at all. It's all about the overall health of your plant. That right there is the true deciding factor.
So, how do you know? How can you tell if your plant is energized and ready for round 2, or if it's completely exhausted? It's simple. Look at the leaves. If you see 4 to 6 big, firm, plump-looking leaves and the roots look healthy, you are good to go. But if the leaves feel kind of limp, maybe a little leathery, that is a huge warning sign. The plant is telling you it's exhausted. In that case, forget about more flowers. Cut that spike to the base right away and let the plant recover.
And this really gets to the core philosophy here. I want you to think of it this way. The leaves and the roots, that's the plant's engine. That's where all the power is made and stored. The flowers, they're just a beautiful show. And you simply cannot have a great show if the engine behind the scenes is sputtering out.
So, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. The most successful orchid growers, the people who are really good at this, they always check the leaves and roots first. They look at the engine before they ever make a decision about the show. Your plant's own strength is the ultimate guide.
So in the end, you see, this isn't really about just cutting a stem. It's more like a dialogue, a conversation. Your orchid is constantly sending you signals about how it's feeling, how much energy it has. It's all right there in its leaves and its roots. The only question left is, are you ready to stop and really listen to what it's telling you?